Welcome to Declassified Malaysia. In Chapter 27, I will explain why the argument that Malaysia Agreement 1963 void ab initio was so stupid. Void ab initio means to be treated as invalid from the outset. So we treat everything invalid from the start. I make this video because there is still people out there, despite being given for free the information, still clamoring that Malaysia Agreement 1963 was invalid from the beginning. Here, I will tell you how stupid that is. The fact is, Malaysia Agreement 1963 is valid. Malaysia Agreement 1963, when it was signed, it's valid. Valid since the beginning and always valid. Malaysia Agreement 1963 was signed on 9 July 1963. Remember this date, 9 July 1963 in London, and registered in the United Nations. Registered in the United Nations by the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on 21st September 1970, bearing the registration number of 10760. Remember this number, 10760. It is in the first page of Malaysia Agreement 1963. Most of the argument presented by these people that clamoring Malaysia Agreement 1963 was invalid from the beginning was that only sovereign state can make treaties with other states. They argue that the status of the state of Sabah and Sarawak was colonies and not a sovereign state when Malaysia Agreement was signed on 9 July 1963. Therefore, because Sabah and Sarawak was colony, Malaysia Agreement 1963 was invalid. Do you think the British didn't know that Sabah and Sarawak was colonies during the signing of Malaysia Agreement 1963? You think British didn't know? Everybody know that Sabah and Sarawak was a colony when Malaysia Agreement 1963 was signed. It is written in Article 1 of Malaysia Agreement 1963 itself. The British know, they jot it down in Article 1. They know the colonies of North Borneo and Sarawak shall be federated with the existing states of the Federation of Malaya. Clearly, it is not written as the state of Sabah and Sarawak shall be federated with the existing state of the Federation of Malaya. It is written that the colonies of North Borneo and Sarawak shall be federated. So, the British know that Sabah and Sarawak is colonies. Everybody know. It is confirmed in Malaysia Agreement 1963 itself that Sabah and Sarawak was a colonies when the agreement was signed. Nobody said Sabah and Sarawak was a sovereign state. Of course, Sabah and Sarawak is not a sovereign state. Everybody know. Even in 1963, everybody know. The right question is, how did Sabah and Sarawak as a colonies can sign an international agreement and yet the agreement still valid? This is the question. Do you think the British are so stupid that they didn't know international law? Here, the problem with the agreement is simple. They are confused on what it's mean by being a colonist. They didn't understand what being a colonist is all about. When they look at the relationship between British and the colonies, they think the relationship is like this. Okay, there is British and then there is some kind of relationship with the colonies. So we have Sabah as a colony, Sarawak as a colony, Nauru as a colonies. So they have a relationship with the British. In actuality, this is a relationship between British and the colonies. The colonies is inside the British. The colonies of North Borneo with Sabah and Sarawak is inside the British Empire. Once we are colonies, we are part of British Empire when we signed Malaysia Agreement 1963. Being a colonist, the government of Sabah and Sarawak is British government. There is no such thing as Sabah and Sarawak government when we signed Malaysia Agreement 1963. Our government is British. We are British colonies, so our government is British. We are inside the British. We are part of British Empire. Yes, we have council negeri. We have legislative assembly, but this assembly also answerable to the British Parliament. Whatever British say is law in Sabah and Sarawak. Only the British has the minister to deal with all the affair of Sabah and Sarawak. Sabah and Sarawak don't have any minister, don't even have a government to sign Malaysia Agreement 1963 on 9 July 1963. The government on behalf of Sabah and Sarawak is British. They also confused when they look at the signatories of the Malaysia Agreement 1963. This is interesting part. As we can see here, the signatories of Malaysia Agreement 1963 were United Kingdom, Federation of Malaya, North Borneo, Sarawak, and Singapore. The problem with these people when they look at this document, they look at it literally as if there is 5 signatories of Malaysia Agreement 1963. Yes, there is 5 signatories. But do you understand the legal framework of it? They think that all these signatories should have a similar status, a sovereign state, to be able to sign an international agreement. The status was different, as United Kingdom and Federation of Malaya was a sovereign state, while Sabah and Sarawak is a colonies. I remember here again, everybody know what is their status when they sign the agreement. British know that Sabah and Sarawak is a colonies at that time. So, since the status of Sabah and Sarawak was colony when signing the agreement, all these people think that agreement then become invalid. Void ab initio. Simple as that. So simple. So stupid. To understand the signing of the signatories of Malaysia Agreement 1963, let me give you a simple infographic. I already give you a simple infographic on what it means by being a colony. Sabah and Sarawak is inside the British Empire. Indeed, the status of Sabah and Sarawak was British colonies as of 9 July 1963 when Malaysia Agreement 1963 was signed, which means Sabah and Sarawak was governed by Colonial Laws Validity Act. The Colonial Laws Validity Act and the non-repugnancy principle govern colonial legislation in all British colonial holdings. It doesn't matter it is colonial self-government or not until the passing of the Statute of Westminster in 1931, which granted validity to any law passed in a Dominion Parliament. The effect of the Colonial Law Validity Act was that it is stating the ultimate subordination of the colonies to the Westminster Parliament. So all the legislative assembly, council negeri in Sabah and Sarawak are subordinate to the Westminster Parliament. When we look at the signatories of Malaysia Agreement 1963, a lot of people will look at the relationship of the signatories is like this. They think all the signatories should be equal when it was signed. If they are not equal in status, means the agreement will become invalid. The fact is that when Malaysia Agreement 1963 was signed, Sabah and Sarawak is British colonies. We are inside the British. Therefore, this is how we look at the signatories of Malaysia Agreement 1963. As you can see, Sabah and Sarawak is inside the British because we are British colonies. What it means here is that the British is the plenipotentiary plenipotentiary, emphasize, plenipotentiary for Sabah and Sarawak during the signing of Malaysia Agreement 1963 on 9 July 1963. Plenipotentiary here means the British has the full power as a sovereign and independent state to sign the agreement on behalf of their colonies of Sabah and Sarawak. Now, as you can see, the status of Sabah and Sarawak as colonies is not an issue anymore because the plenipotentiary has signed on behalf of Sabah and Sarawak. This information has been confirmed in the Declassified document. People who doesn't know about this one, they doesn't read the Declassified document. Clearly, they doesn't read the Declassified document. The document number CO 1030-1505 number 40 dated 30 May 1963. 30 May 1963. Remember the date. This is 1 month before the signing of Malaysia Agreement. May, June, July. 9 July is Malaysia Agreement was signed. This is May, 1 month before Malaysia Agreement was signed. Just don't look at the date just passing like that. Make analysis on the date as well. This is the minute from Sir J. Martin to Mr. Sandys, which revealed that on the assumption that all three Borneo territories would join Malaysia, there had been discussion over whether or not Borneo and Sarawak, not being a sovereign, could be parties to the agreement. The declassified documents here reveal that the British already, in their full knowledge, know about this issue, either Sabah and Sarawak can sign the agreement or not. Because they are not a sovereign state. The British already know, already think, and already solve and confirm to solve this issue 1 month before the signing of Malaysia Agreement 1963. Again, the declassified documents reveal that for similar presentational reason, it was vital that the leaders of indigenous people should be signatories for North Borneo and Sarawak. Here, it is revealed that the reason the indigenous leaders from Sabah and Sarawak signing the Malaysia Agreement 1963 was for presentational reason, which means for political reason. It is for political reason, not legal reason. It is for political reason, so that the leaders from Sabah and Sarawak will not feel that they are subordinate to Malaya and Singapore when Malaysia Agreement was signed at that particular time. For political reason, to give the confidence to Sabah and Sarawak leaders that they indeed will gain equal status with Malaya and Singapore when the new Federation of Malaysia was formed. That's why, politically, the British let Sabah and Sarawak sign the agreement too. The British know that when Malaysia was formed, the status of Malaya, Singapore, Sabah and Sarawak will be equal under international law, under UN Resolution 1541. And when integration happened, the Federation of Malaysia formed, the partner will be automatically equal. It is written in UN Resolution 1541. Read it. The British know when Malaysia was formed, Sabah and Sarawak will gain equal status with Malaya and Singapore. However, the leaders in Sabah and Sarawak is the one who are in doubt about their status when they form Malaysia. They are afraid that the British will only transfer the colonial power from London to Kuala Lumpur. Sabah and Sarawak are afraid of being subordinate partner in Malaysia. To ease this fear, the British led the indigenous leaders to also sign the agreement for political reason, for they to be signatory from Sabah and Sarawak. It is not for legal reason. Now, the declassified documents then reveal how the signing of Malaysia Agreement 1963 was legal and valid, despite Sabah and Sarawak being a colonies. It was revealed in the declassified document that the important thing presentationally from the Borneo point of view is that the representative will initiate the formal agreement at a public ceremony. The actual signature will be by plenipotentiaries of the British. The actual signature for Sabah and Sarawak will be by plenipotentiaries of the British, Malayan and Brunei governments, and will take place in relative obscurity, probably in Kuala Lumpur. This is how the legality of Malaysia Agreement 1963 has been addressed. Despite Sabah and Sarawak are British colonies, it was the British, as a sovereign state acting as plenipotentiary, who are signing on behalf of Sabah and Sarawak, signing the Malaysia Agreement 1963. This is why the British also signed the agreement. You never talk on why British signed the agreement. This is why British also signed the agreement. They need to act as plenipotentiary for Sabah and Sarawak. They signed the agreement as plenipotentiary for Sabah and Sarawak on behalf of Sabah and Sarawak. As you can see here, Sabah and Sarawak is a colonies inside the British, while the British, as sovereign state, signed it on behalf of Sabah and Sarawak. The British signed Malaysia Agreement 1963 as plenipotentiary for Sabah and Sarawak. The British signed on behalf of Sabah and Sarawak. I repeat many times because I have given this information for free many times. Nobody read it, nobody understand it, nobody Google it, nobody understand what plenipotentiary means. So I need to repeat many times. This is why the argument that Malaysia Agreement 1963 void ab initio was so stupid. Malaysia Agreement 1963 is valid since the beginning. The sovereign state signing the agreement is the British on behalf of Sabah and Sarawak. So as you can see, the legal signatory is all signing the agreement, which is British, Malaya, all sovereign state. British already signed it on behalf of Sabah and Sarawak because they are the colonial master of Sabah and Sarawak. Now you understand what is being a colonist. You are inside the British. The British only let Sabah and Sarawak sign the agreement for political and representational display to ease the fear of Sabah and Sarawak from feeling like subordinate to other partner. If you still don't understand and so difficult to understand the word plenipotentiary here, now it is your problem. Thank you for watching.